Hello, and welcome to Teaching Tip Tuesday. My name is Michelle, aka the Ignited Teacher, and what I do on this Teaching Tip Tuesday or Teaching Tip Tuesday period is I help teachers to effectively manage their classrooms and increase student outcomes. I also provide you with research-based and evidence-based strategies that can be implemented in your classroom as early as the next day. So I want to thank you all for those of you all who are here and actually tune in every Teaching Tip Tuesday. And if you're new here, if you can't catch me live, you can always catch me on YouTube. And all of my Teaching Tip Tuesday, um, I don't know why I'm losing train of thought. All of my Teaching Tip Tuesday episodes are housed on YouTube. If you're watching me on any other platform, you will definitely notice that that live stream and video, it's a constant movement because my stream does not stay the same. My feed. So definitely hop on over to YouTube if you're watching now. Hop on over there and subscribe to the channel, like this video, and subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to hit the bell notification button to be notified when I go live, just like on Teaching Tip Tuesday. And definitely when I upload video, I've been really trying this short form content for my YouTube video. I recently uploaded a division strategy for Tier 2 students to help support students. So be on the lookout for that if you want to search my YouTube channel for that video. I just uploaded that. Also, if you are interested in some of the upcoming episodes in my on my YouTube channel. So let me go back to that. So just in case you didn't see it, let me go. So some January topics: grouping students, intervention cycles, small group and progress monitoring. I think about changing some of those. So those are some things that you can look forward to on my channel. So thank you for being a part of that. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, definitely hop on over there and do that. So tonight's topic is about scaffolding your math strategies for Tier 2 students. So let me pull up this. Let me see. Last week we talked about universal screening. So going back to what universal screening is, and this is just some backstory of universal screening and how do you classify those Tier 2 students. So Tier 2 students are students that with support, they can work at grade level. It's not those Tier 3 students. Tier 3 students to me are students that are 2 or more grade levels below grade where their actual grade placement. For example, if they're in 5th grade, they're working at a 3rd grade or 2nd grade level. Those are Tier 3 kids. And the way that you identify those tier 3 kids is by um, the universal screening. And those kids are ones that tier 2 kids are teachers are responsible for tier 2 students. And that's the gist of it. I mean, we're responsible for that, and we're not there's really no getting around it. So um I'm trying to hold on, do something. All right, I did it. Okay, so there's really no way of getting around this, with universal screening. Your tier 2 kids are kids that you're going to always have them, especially if you're working in a school system where a lot of your students come from low socioeconomic backgrounds. And that's just where it is. I mean, I don't foresee that, it changing. And with the pandemic, we're seeing more students that are struggling and kids that normally wouldn't struggle. And I don't foresee this um, actually ever changing for, oh, wrong one. Sorry. Changing for the better, anytime soon. I just don't see it happening. So tonight, what I'm going to do is demonstrate how to scaffold a math strategy. Most math strategies are strategies that are don't really work for all your learners. And the first step in a math strategy and making it to where your intervention kids can understand the concept, it is to scaffold it. A lot of people don't really know what scaffolding is, or they may know what it is, but they don't know what it looks like in action in a classroom setting. So tonight, that is what I'm going to actually introduce to you all. Um, Let me go ahead and move to this screen, and let me pull up. Hold on. I generally don't put my head in these, but let me see. Oh, I don't want that one. I want to put, hold on. I need to put this in here. Picture in picture. There it is. Let me see. Okay. So let me go ahead and get started. So when we're talking about scaffolding, let me bring this down. So a scaffold is when you actually take a strategy or a concept and the student learns systematically. So that's a scaffold. And I'm on my handwriting, it's sloppy. So think about it as how you're going to present this information to the students. So let me go back because I actually have some stuff on here. So in my Algebra 1 class, we're classifying polynomials. So the way that I chunked this is the first step was to identify and classify polynomials. So you have binomials, and then you have monomials, and then you have trinomials. Well, I know that the students needed to understand this concept because they were missing some content and instruction from um, the beginning, well, really seventh and eighth grade. So I needed to chunk this. And they needed to really understand what a binomial was because I know they struggled with equations at the beginning of the year. So then we move on to more abstract terms. So um, terms, coefficient, degree, leading term, and leading coefficient, and degree of polynomials, which that progression helped them to cement, okay, this is the definition. What does it look like? So then they practice, but that's my scaffold, how I laid that out. But say, for instance, we're doing division. And with division, division has its own learning progression. And that's what you need to look at. It has its own learning progression. And the learning progression is basically how it actually looks, what mastery looks like, what the concepts being taught looks like, and how the student will move through he or she's understanding of division. So division normally starts with equal shares or sharing. And then there's grouping. And, you may use partial quotients. With place value. And then, it moves on from there. So that's the learning progression. So when you're looking at a math strategy, you have to determine where that student is in, let me erase that, it's too high, in the learning progression. And notice I didn't say vertical alignment. Learning progression. That's what I said. Let me erase that again. So this is your math strategy. So say, for instance, you're trying to teach kids partial quotients. So that the math strategy is partial quotients. So you know that students have to understand equal shares. They have to understand grouping, and they have to have place value as a prerequisite. So if the students, the goal is to teach them and to master partial quotients, what do you have to do to get the students there? So the first thing is, say for instance, they understand the concept of equal shares. So in your math intervention, you may not have to do that. So you're like, okay, they understand equal shares, but then you forgot, okay, they need to understand that multiplication and division are inverses. So you're like, okay, they have to understand that multiplication and division are inverses. So what you do is that's your starting point. So that starts the scaffold. So you start with inverses and get them to understand. And then the next part will be place value. And that is how you would actually scaffold that information and teach your kids through that scaffold. Um, a lot of times teachers ask for strategies that they themselves struggle with and not really understand the progression of the skill or concept that they're teaching. I've been in several Facebook groups where teachers don't have this down pat because they never ask, well, where should I start with the strategy? They generally just ask, do you have a strategy that I can teach? And it doesn't work like that for students, your tier 2 students. It just doesn't. The tier 2 students need systematic, explicit instruction. And that starts with you breaking down and looking at the learning progression and how the student um, plays a part in this progression. Where is he at in the progression? And if you don't take the time to really think about, okay, they know how to do this, but they don't know how to do that. And it takes time. Those are conversations that you need to have with your vertical alignment. Meaning, if you teach 8th grade, you need to have that conversation with your 7th grade teachers. What do kids need to master this skill in 7th grade? Is it taught in 7th grade? So those are some things, just to get you all started with understanding how to scaffold this information for your tier 2 students. And let me go ahead and recap and wrap this up. So the first step is to identify, your students' prerequisite skills and what they know. It's kind of like an inventory for a skill. They can do this, they can't do that. But really, you're not going to know what they can and cannot do. A test is not going to tell you that. That is done through good old formative assessment. That's just what it is. So observe what they can and cannot do. Then look at the learning progression. Where are the students in the learning progression? Do they have the prerequisite skills for the actual strategy? And the answer is definitely going to be no, because if they had it, they wouldn't be in math intervention. So, and the third thing is to create a plan and chunk it. Start with the prerequisite skills, where the student is, and build from there and build up to the strategy. It's kind of like a ladder that you're building for the students, if that makes sense. So tier one strategies, and when I say tier one for the people who are new, tier one strategies are strategies that you and I use with all of our students. It's not specific. But when you go into your math intervention or your small group to reteach, because we're not remediating, to reteach students, you need to do something differently. And that something different is chunking that strategy that you choose, but which you should have vetted before you actually use that it will work with your demographic of students. That's what you should have done first. So if you know that it actually works and it's a good strategy for the kids, you go ahead and chunk it, scaffold it, whatever you want to call it, and get and build up so the kids can master the strategy. I teach people or teachers in my math intervention academy to actually what's the word I'm looking for? To actually do 2 week intervention cycles. It's not like the kids are blank slates, but what you do is you build them up to that, where they are, what are they coming with. So after 2 weeks, you reevaluate where the students at, how much progress they made through progress monitoring, and then you determine, go back to the drawing board with the same process. Where are they at? Where are we going to start at for this actual cycle? So that is all I have for Teaching Tip Tuesday. And if you're interested in joining the Math Intervention Academy, get on the wait list. And if you're interested in the whiteboard that I was using, it's by one of my favorite, oh, Explain Everything. They sent me this nice hoodie. Um, it's a whiteboard that I use. I actually use it in my classroom as well. So if you want to get on the wait list, the link is in the comment section on YouTube or the description. But hopefully you enjoyed this episode of Teaching Tip Tuesday. And I'll see you all either in my Facebook group, on Twitter, or on YouTube. And you all have a good evening. See you next week for another episode of Teaching Tip Tuesday. Bye bye.